So, hey everybody, it's your girl Kim Dynasty of the Kim Dynasty Show. I'm here with my best friend, very sweet Leek. And today, we have a very special guest. We have Dr. Fredrick Jacobs of Celebrity Soul Food Chain. So, the CEO of
Yeah.
Celebrity Soul Food Chain. So,
Thank you, girl. Listen, man, I got all the student loans to prove it. You know what I'm saying? Girl, I have to get them titles. I just paid them off. So Fannie Mae, stop.
Look, stop hitting your line. That's right.
Yeah.
So, okay.
On that one.
Well, first of all, thank you guys so much for having me. It really is a privilege, and you guys are beautiful, and I love what it is that you do. And
thank you.
I'm just humbled about the opportunity. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So, okay. I want to start off with where you're from.
Well, I'm originally from a small town. It's called High Springs, Florida. It's right outside of Gainesville, which most people know the University of Florida. So it's the same county, Alachua County, but I grew up on a ranch with quarter horses and beefmaster cattle and all that good old stuff or what have you. But just a small town with about 2 lights. That's where
Okay.
No, I understand that. It's a whole different living when the lights go out on the street lights. They blink at a certain time at night. It's a whole nother living.
Well, let me tell you, in the country, girl, you can stay outside. You know what I'm saying? If somebody gets you, it's not a person, it's an animal. So it's okay. You're gonna be all right. You can make it back.
Look, I'll stay here with the gunshots and the
nice. Bye.
Okay, so
they really got gunshots in Long Island. Let's not lie. Let's not lie. Let's tell the truth.
Area. I told you.
The truth. Y'all damn near Hamptons. You damn near the Hamptons. Let's work this out now.
I live in the killer part of Long Island.
On Long Island.
We're gonna leave that one alone. We're gonna leave that alone. Leave that alone.
So, Dr. Jacobs, okay, so first of all, what school did you go to?
So, Kim, I graduated from the Rock High School. It's a private school, and then went off to University of Tennessee. But prior to that, I went to a historical black school, FAMU University in Tallahassee, Florida.
Oh, my daughter
say that.
Yeah, he had to say it.
Yeah, that showed me some love. I had to slide that in there, Yeah. So I have my bachelor's in business. I have a master's in counseling, and then I have a double doctorate in business as well as theology. And so that's kind of my background. And
no, that's right.
Woo, child.
Yeah.
You can carry a couple of ones, okay?
Oh,
look.
Yeah, I'm grateful.
Look, Fannie Mae carried a couple of ones on them student loans.
It did. Girl, sometimes you have to keep going to school so you don't have to deal with Fannie Mae. You have to keep going.
Right. I'm in class.
Oh, deferment. Anybody needs that? I'm not messing with her. Okay.
So, okay. So now, where did you see yourself? In ministry, in business? Like, what was your passion coming up? Like, or was it all of the above?
Okay, so for me, you got to understand, and I'm so thankful I still have both of my parents. They're well into their 70s, but I grew up in a family, a household of law enforcement. So it's all I knew. In doing all of that, though, my mother and father was always catering and that dynamic with the community or different organizations and things of that nature. So I grew up kind of with both, but I always saw an entrepreneur side to them in a community where that was not the normal, you see. So that was trailblazing right there. So for me growing up, in all transparency and honesty, is for me to really explain, it's kind of like a feeling of what do you do when you feel like you have a gift, something that's inside of you, but your reality don't resemble it. So I think to people on the outside as a young person, it can look sometimes like that person's unstable or they just stay in a place of dreaming. But no, I just didn't want to settle. I wasn't okay for the status quo. I wanted something greater. I may not know exactly how to get there, but I knew where I wasn't enough. The only thing that was about me as a young man is I was never scared to try. I was never afraid to step out, even if no one felt like they needed to support it or things of that nature. I always stepped out in faith, and I always knew I wanted more. So when it came to whether ministry or a business, for me, it's been all in the same. It's because I love people. And I've always wanted empowerment, and I've always in all honesty on your show, if I could just be frank, is I just want it to matter. I want to make sure that when it's all said and done and my life is over here, that I'm still felt, that I'm still present, and that I've mattered in being here, and that my children absolutely do not have to lie to this world about me. That matters.
I know that's right.
Yeah, that
I
matters.
know that's right. And that's beautiful. I mean, well, okay, so was food the first avenue you thought of as far as business is concerned
Well,
because of the family?
absolutely not. Absolutely not. Food is great, but no, I knew that I needed to educate myself, especially coming out of a small town. It was like my only, in my mind, way out is I have to continue to develop myself. You see, food came later is because I always could cook, and there was always a passion in it for me. But something resonated from me from a business perspective. You see, when I, uh, transition into ministry and empowerment and helping people, and I saw the deficit in people's life. I mean, people in ministry for years, when they would encounter me, they still had foreclosures going on. They still had broken relationships. And I'm saying, my God, you've been in the church 30, 40 years. I'm not knocking the church. What I'm simply saying is, after you pray, there's another phase. You have to get up and do something.
Faith
So
without work.
I'm
Faith without
looking
work.
at this thing, and I'm saying we're really giving God a bad reputation, because I don't think there's a little bit more to this. So
Yeah.
I had to dive into this thing. So I'm working in ministry, but the same thing happened to me. How am I doing this and helping people, but it's still not enough? And this is what I had to do. I had to stop looking outward, and I had to first say, what is it that I'm programmed with that I need to deal with within myself to make sure that I'm getting it right? Because so many things that we're told and that's trained in us that we embedded as the gospel, we need to find out if those things actually are true and actually are producing. And so what I did is I spent time developing me, not just educationally, but really understanding, finding the truth. Why do I think what I think? And making sure, is it progressing in my life? So in looking at that and looking at business, when I went onto the radio and working TV and radio at KJLH 102.3 and having the privilege to work with people like Stevie Wonder and all these great celebrities, they was all having the same conversation about soul food is missing, and I traveled here and I couldn't get none. And so I found a niche. I found a missing place in life. But what I love about food is, and to be honest with you, I've done more ministry in dealing in the food industry than I've ever done in the pulpit. I promise you. When you have the ability to empower, when you have the ability to have resources, see, you can pray and then help. And that is what mattered to me. To be able to pray for someone and then you can't help them is a tragedy. It's a tragedy. That a single mother with 4 kids, that you can pray for them, but you can't feed them. You see, that's not the ministry that I wanted to do. You see, and these young people are not buying that, because when and if they come, they want to know the truth, yes. And then 2 is, how do I get up? How do I move forward? And you can't take someone you've never been. You can't take them there. If you've never
Preach.
been, you can't.
Yeah.
Preach.
So that's why preachers take them to the altar. They've been there. But can you empower them? Can you tell a felon that, you know what, no, you can't get a job, but you can start a business? Well, how do I start it? How do I get funded? I have no money. If you don't want me to sell drugs, then how do I get it? You see, you can't help someone if you can't help yourself. So for me, all that has played a part in my life, seeing that truth.
Wow. That's amazing, because that is so true. If you can't help them, then, what we doing? What we doing?
Faith without, he said that, faith without work. I sit there like, oh yeah, God gonna work it out. I'm saying, but what are you doing? You just sitting there.
Yeah. It's kind of like, say, for instance, you ever heard those people say, I'm called to the nations, or this, that, and the other, right? And I say to them, are you? Okay, I can't question that, but my question is, do you have a passport? You see, that ain't spiritually deep. That's just simply, you'll never go. Because there's a truth to that. My responsibility is, I love transparency. I love uncensored, because people have lied too long, man. We're babysitting dysfunction. And in order for people to move forward, in order for people to be great, they must know the truth. And you've got to understand, you have to, at some point, I'm so glad. Let me say this. I'm so glad that Dr. King had the dream, because it's about time for people to stop dreaming and wake up, get up and move forward.
Now, how do you work with people who
it.
don't want to wake up? There's a lot of people that like that la la land. They like being in the land of make believe and what one of my friends said, people treat you how they perceive you.
Yes.
So if it looks good, then they'll treat you good.
Yes.
It doesn't matter if it's a hot mess on the inside, but if it looks good, then they treat you good.
Right. Right.
But internally, you're in turmoil. So now, yeah. So what do you do? Like, what do you do to service those people who could be struggling? No, they struggling, but they don't want to. They don't want to come forward.
I think one of the things of it is that at least 70% to or higher in America is a public success but a private failure. You see, what I tell people that really want to make a difference in their life and really want to do good business is I tell them, stop trying to keep up with the Joneses. But there's nothing wrong with the Joneses. Just stop trying to keep up with them and become the Joneses. But you see, as long as you lie, you see, as long as you pretend, you'll never be. You're not authentic. Yeah. You're living a false truth. You see, and you can't keep that up. The truth of the matter is, if we was all to be honest, we know somebody. Each of us know somebody in their life that's faking. So the truth of the matter is, the cat is out the bag. Ain't nobody buying that. Nobody's buying it, because the truth of the matter is, if this pandemic didn't teach us nothing else but to be real and be true, and what it did is that it shined a light on the authenticity of people's life. Who has it together, who's prepared, and who's not. Because for us as an organization, as an individual, I'm gonna be honest with you. You know, the people who are able to progress and to grow see beyond the headlines. There's people who are becoming wealthy in this and moving their life forward. Everybody didn't shut down. Everybody didn't get in turmoil. That's
never lie.
You see, it's not winter for everybody. For some of us, it's spring. You see?
Yeah.
So what you have to do is get around people who knows it's spring. So then you become like spring. You see, what have you? So it does matter. You know, back in the day, you know, our mothers and grandmothers, you know, they had this thing about, you know, well, birds of feather flock together, or who can hang around. But it's so much true. What they just should have told you, though, is that instead of just telling you not to hang around the wrong people, you need to hang around the people who challenge you to think upward, challenge you to get up, challenge you to move forward. What people like is what's called co-signers, co-signing you to be lazy, co-signing you to lie, co-signing you to say, oh, that's a good idea. But guess what? They ain't got no money to put on nothing. And as long as you just do okay, they're okay with you. But as soon as you try to progress, they don't want to talk to you no more. See, that's the people we hang around. So what you got to do is you have to own that, because it's not their responsibility. It's your job to manage you. And you have to accept that dysfunction and say, you know what? If I'm going to fix something in my life, it's going to be me first. I'm the change I need to see. That's the reality of it.
I needed this.
Yeah, start with you.
I'm trying to tell you, I needed to hear this.